At every new higher level of the Adderall effect, it comes along with higher income. It comes along with better relationships. It comes along with better conversations. It comes along with a better body, more fit body, more happiness, more energy, more productivity, etc. Hello everybody. What does it take to create the Adderall effect, which is creating a brain naturally that operates as if it's taken an Adderall pill when you don't have ADHD? Once you create the Adderall brain naturally, that is the foundation for life. Once you hit that target, everything is going to transform in your life. And as a matter of fact, it starts transforming as you get closer and closer and closer to it. And then when you get there, that's it. You've made it. You are an unlimited being, the richest person, the fittest person, the happiest person, the most energetic, most productive person in the world. So how do we create it? Watch the rest of this video and I'm going to break it down in a very easily digestible way. Hi, I'm Dr. Sarah Zaldivar and I was featured on the first ever carnivore documentary series back when I was carnivore. I've also lost and maintained over 35 pounds as I explained in this YouTube video by lowering my body weight set point and raising my baseline dopamine. I've also quit my nutrition and exercise physiology professor jobs at the University of Miami, Miami-Dade College, and the American College of Sports Medicine and so many other places so I could focus on research and coaching the thousands of clients that I have coached towards better health, fitness, productivity, income, and so much more. How can I coach my clients to get there? It's because I target the root cause, the one thing that affects every aspect of your life. And when you just focus on that one thing, everything else rises along with it as you improve your brain and mental health and physical body. It is basically creating the Adderall effect in your brain and body. How do you do that? In order to understand how to get there, you need to understand what is the Adderall effect. How do you create a brain that naturally operates as if it's high on Adderall all the time? There are three main neurotransmitters that create that effect, and that is high levels of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin tone. So it's not just increasing, for example, dopamine, it's also increasing baseline dopamine by increasing the dopamine receptors, the D2 receptors in your brain. You need all of the machinery to upregulate and become faster, more efficient, and operates at a higher level. What is the best tool to upregulate the tone of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin? Progressively overloading cardio. Why cardio? Because cardio, as you get faster and faster, you get the intensity, and the intensity is what raises the dopamine and the norepinephrine, but also it has a lot of time under tension, which is something you can't really achieve with just strength training because there's a lot of rest periods in between the sets. So the time under tension and the mileage that you get from cardio, that raises the serotonin. And you need all of the three to function together at the same rate and in proper balance to one another to achieve the Adderall effect. And actually, your level of fitness with cardio, so the more miles you can do and the more intensely you can run at a faster and faster speed, the closer and closer and closer you can get to the Adderall effect. Now, how many miles should you run? What is the intensity that should get you to the Adderall effect? It depends on your starting point, right? Because there are a lot of things that establish your baseline tone of dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. For example, if you are a high status individual, you have a lot of money, a lot of great relationships in your life, you're lean, all those things increase your baseline tone of these neurochemicals. And so you're probably either already at the Adderall effect or you just need a few extra miles, just a little bit more intensely, and you're there. Contrast that with somebody coming from a minority background, poor, broke, dysfunctional family, a lot of toxic stress in their job. That person's going to have very low baseline dopamine and norepinephrine and serotonin, and so they have to work way harder to achieve that. This is why David Goggins, if you've ever watched some of his interviews, he said that 5K or let's say 5 miles a day is just not going to cut it for me because it really depends on where your starting point is. Now, once you figure out what the effective dose for your health and life circumstance is, does that mean you have to stay there forever? Not necessarily, because let's say you start running and you start losing weight. As you lose more weight, you're increasing your baseline in all of these brain chemicals. And so now you might not need to do the same mileage and the same intensity. You can now get by and still maintain that Adderall effect at less mileage and less speed, because now there are other factors in your life that are raising your baseline, like being leaner, fitter. If you start also making more money on the journey to creating the Adderall brain, having higher income will raise your baseline as well. And so then you don't really have to run as much or as intensely forever, because you already have this additional factor that's constantly keeping it elevated. If you're LGBTQ plus, for example, and you feel discriminated against and you have to deal with all the BS that comes along with how society might treat you, that also means you have a higher way to go and you have to work a little extra hard than, let's say, a white male that comes from a lot of money and everything that comes along with that, right? That's because the more stress you have in your life, the more cortisol you release. Cortisol destroys dopamine and D2 receptors and slows down, for example, the rate at which you create dopamine, and by the way, the other neurochemicals as well. So basically, the worse off your life circumstances are, the more cortisol you have to outpace that by raising your dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin to an even higher level so that you can buffer against the effects of the stress and the cortisol release. Another important point is, what are your goals? If you're ambitious and you're shooting for bigger and bigger and bigger goals, at every higher goal that you set for yourself, you can only achieve it if it comes along with a higher level of stress associated with it. And so this is the reason why people get stuck certain times in certain positions and they don't want to get ahead, because the promotion comes along with a lot of stress and they can't handle that stress, and so they prefer to go back. But if you increase your cardio mileage and intensity, you have way higher baseline dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, you don't feel the cortisol increase that comes along with a next level promotion or with creating a new company. You would feel great and high and amazing all the time, and you don't even feel any kind of emotional or physical pain that might be associated with that next level of ambition. So this is why you can draw a direct line between the amount of running that you do, the speed at which you do it, and how much money you're making. And I definitely can attest to that. At every new higher level of the Adderall effect, it comes along with higher income. It comes along with better relationships. It comes along with better conversations. It comes along with a better body, more fit body, more happiness, more energy, more productivity, etc. All right, if you want to learn how to do that, if you need coaching on the diet and the exercise plans and just general coaching on how to achieve the Adderall effect, make sure you check out my coaching packages at drsarahzaldivar.com/coaching. Specifically, I've just launched a new coaching package called the Fit Optimized Energy Coaching Package. It comes with unlimited email support and unlimited meal plan adjustments, exercise plan adjustments, supplementation, if you have any labs, analysis of the labs, and motivation, support, and accountability. It is a 12-week program, so I see you for 30 minutes for 12 weeks. So you get 12 Zoom calls of 30 minutes each, and technically it's at $600, but you can get it at 50% off if you use code YouTube within the next 48 hours, so that you can get it for just $300. Also, if you want to stay updated with all of my research, then make sure you're signed up for my free newsletter at drsarahzaldivar.com/newsletter. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, let me know in the comments section below. I read and I answer all of my comments. Also, share it with a friend or family member who might find this information invaluable. And let me know by giving this YouTube video a thumbs up, subscribing, and hitting that little notification bell icon so YouTube alerts you every time I post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.